Well, Bruce, the sun is up, the sky is blue, and we're ready to talk Star Trek this week. Welcome to episode number 69 of Positively Trek. I'm Dan Gunther. With me, as always, is Bruce Gibson. Bruce, how are you on this lovely, lovely Star Trek talking day?
Based on what you've said, I'm going to assume that you are on the planet Earth right now.
I am on Earth at the moment. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not, unfortunately, 24th or 3rd century Earth or anything like that. It's just regular good old Earth.
Yeah, it's hot where I am. But no, not really. It's well, actually, let me look. Hey Siri, what is the current temperature? It's 52 degrees out where I am, 52 degrees Fahrenheit. But in my house, it's hot because I have the heat going. And I just took off my hoodie because I'm sweating.
So 52 Fahrenheit in Celsius, it's 11 degrees Celsius. Okay, so yeah, not, for where I'm at this time of year, that's quite warm.
That's like summer for you.
Not quite. It's been unseasonably warm here, though. Like, I'm in northern Alberta, and the current temperature in Celsius is -2, so 2 degrees below freezing. In Fahrenheit, that's 28 degrees. For December 6th, that's quite warm. So we've had a lot of days above zero, above freezing here for the last month, which is crazy for this time of year. So, yeah. Unseasonably warm.
Yeah.
A little worrisome.
Things are warmer. I grew up in the northeast of America, and I remember then moving to the southeast and thinking, gosh, man, we get a lot of 90 degrees, 90s Fahrenheit, of course, 90s. Sometimes we hit 100. That was rare in the summers in the northeast where I grew up. I mean, occasionally we'd get this, but not like as often as we are here. And now I watch the weather forecast. Sometimes I look and New York's hotter than it is in Atlanta, where I am.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy. It's definitely been a trend the last few years. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes, I guess.
I'm going to move back north just to cool off.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty far north and comparatively speaking, it's definitely cooler here. So yeah, if you're looking to cool off, north isn't a bad way to go for sure.
But I'm not going that far north. That's
no one
cold.
Ever does.
Your area is growing, though, I hear. So a lot of people are moving there.
Yeah, we're in a little bit of a slowdown at the moment, economically speaking.
Right.
But usually we're kind of one of the more booming places. But anyway, that's a discussion for another podcast, I think, as to the reasons behind that and the complaints that I want to make. So, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about all things Star Trek and all of the news and really interesting Star Trek stuff that's happened in the last week. So, first of all, I want to talk about a little show called Star Trek Lower Decks. And if you haven't watched this show, if you're not interested, I would suggest skipping ahead a little bit for spoilers. I'll try and put in the show description where the time code maybe where we stop talking about Lower Decks. But friend of the show and fellow Star Trek YouTuber Ketwolski recently talked to Star Trek Lower Decks creator Mike McMahan, and specifically about season 2 of Lower Decks. That was one of the topics that came up. So they discussed some pretty interesting stuff, and there's some really great quotes. So they're right now in production on season 2 of Lower Decks. And Mike McMahan says, not only is it all written, but I've got episode 209 to watch over this week in animatic format. And we have already sent the first 4 episodes to coloring departments. So they're deep into it, and like 209. So the second last episode of the season, they're pretty far in.
Well, I would just say to Mike, I will review those 4 episodes too, and help you guys out with that. Sometimes it's very helpful to have people on the outside look at things, because when you're on the inside, you're kind of in this bubble and you don't catch certain things. I really think, Mike, you really should consider having me and Dan look at these episodes. But if anything, I will say to you, Mike, congratulations on getting these done and having them out probably sometime next year, I'm assuming, because if you're this far into the season and production, then bravo. And I'm looking forward to Wait, why am I just assuming he's going to listen to the show? He's not going to listen to the show.
I don't know. He was on Ketwolski. He might. We should try and get him on.
You say we're up to his level?
I don't know. We had Ketwolski on, so by the process of osmosis, I think we've now met Mike McMahan, right?
Well, I'll say this. If Mike is listening, Mike, we reviewed your book, Engaged. So, or is it Engage or Engaged? I can't remember. It's Engage.
Engage.
We had you on. So, I mean, your book on. You should have been there. Well, yeah, we'll bring you back. We'll discuss the book. But anyway, Dan, I digress.
Well, he goes on to talk about something that's frustrated a lot of fans worldwide, and that, of course, is the fact that the show isn't officially available outside of the U.S. and Canada at the moment. Yeah, it's really frustrating. If you're an international fan who's still listening at this point, I feel you. Like that really sucks. But there's an interesting quote by Mike here. He says, "I was very surprised with how long international distribution has taken, but we are aware of it. It is clearly something we want to have happen, and there should be news about it fairly soon, but these are conversations that I'm involved in, but not in charge of. We totally hear you. We are desperately working on it, and we are completely invested in getting it done." So, kind of echoing some of the same things we've heard. Soon, it's not a definite thing, but those talks are ongoing. I'm really surprised it's taken this long as well.
I am very surprised. I thought that once we got to the end of the season here in North America, that we'd all of a sudden see that it's released everywhere else, and it's still not. I can't even imagine being a Star Trek fan and not being able to watch these in the regular way. And I mean, I'm sure if you're desperate to see them, you're going to find some way to see them, but it's ridiculous. Now, there's the professional side of me that does work in television distribution, and I would be very curious as to the business reasons why this isn't happening right now. I don't do a whole lot of international distribution. I do some, but I don't know what's holding this up. I mean, there could be a variety of different business reasons. It's not because they're not wanting the rest of the world to see these. There's just something held up in some negotiation.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it would be so frustrating. I totally understand some people's anger for sure. And hopefully they can get that sorted soon again. There's that dreaded word, soon. But yeah, who knows? Well, speaking more about the content of the show, Mike McMahan spoke a little bit about the characters and the stories for season 2, not specifically, but one thing that he mentioned that I really appreciate was wanting to give the spotlight more to Tendi and Rutherford than has been the case in season 1, saying giving the show a feel that there are 4 leads instead of 2 leads and 2 sidekicks, which is kind of how it felt like sometimes in season 1. So, I really like that kind of expanding to the more ensemble cast. The other thing that I really appreciate, and one thing I noticed during season 1 is it took them a few episodes to kind of establish the world of Lower Decks. And then after that, I felt like the stories went in more surprising and different directions, and they were able to do more with that. And he kind of says the same thing here, where he says the writer's room in season 2 felt freer to let their imaginations run wild. They don't have the responsibility of having to set up and explain to the audience what the show is about anymore. And this quote, he says, "In the second season, because we weren't having to explain what the show was to ourselves or to an audience, you get some really fun Dr. Ta'ana episodes and even a funny Billups episode. He's a secret favorite of the writers." To which I say, shut up, Billups.
Yeah, he's kind of been creeping in there towards the last half of season 1. It looks like we're going to get more of him in season 2.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I thought Paul Scheer brought a really interesting voice to that character. And yeah, there was a lot of fun moments with him for sure. And then, of course, and spoiler alert, if you've not watched Lower Decks, big spoiler coming up here. Last season, at the end of season 1, we lost the security chief, Lieutenant Shax. He died in the season finale, No Small Parts. And Mike McMahan teases here. He does tell us, he says, the new head of security is... Then he pauses, and he says, "I'm really just excited for everyone to see who it is. I'm really proud of everything we did with the character there." So, oh, darn it, he's not letting that go. He's not gonna Not going to spill that, unfortunately.
Well, what's he going to say? Hey, the new head of security is Molly, and you don't know who she is.
Molly O'Brien?
No. I just tried to pick a random name and I had to pick Molly, right? I don't even know where that came from. But no, well, that would be interesting if it was Molly O'Brien. But now I wish that is true. She'd be a little young. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a character we know, right? So he can name a name but that doesn't really mean much to us at all. So
yeah.
I have a feeling
it is someone we know.
I don't think it's anybody we know.
Okay. I'm curious. I'm really curious.
You think it's somebody we know?
No, I honestly have no idea. It could be, it might not be. This is one thing where I'm going in with kind of a blank slate. I really don't know who. The choices that they've made on Lower Decks have surprised me at almost every turn. So I'm not even going to try and speculate because it's going to be a surprise.
Maybe it's Odo.
Ooh, I doubt it, but I love it.
I mean, Renee's not around to do the voice, but maybe just a brief cameo. I don't know.
Yeah. I never thought of that. Yeah. Well, we're going to close out on this part of the story with another quote by Mike McMahan, which makes me really excited. He says, "Our animators are taking everything they did in the first season and making it even more beautiful and rich with new lighting and color. When that all comes together with the new score by Chris Westlake, everything is going to be such a party. I cannot wait for you guys to see it." I'm so excited for season 2. I feel like this series found its footing faster than a lot of Star Trek series have. And I'm really looking forward to great things next season.
I'm looking forward to this party he's talking about. Where is this taking place? That's
on the Cerritos bar, of course.
I really thought when we saw the end of season 1, it would be quite a while before we get a season 2, but it sounds like it's coming sooner than I thought.
Yeah, it definitely does look like they've kicked production into high gear. So I'm curious a date when we'll get the show, but it does sound like it's going to be sooner rather than later. So that's really cool.
I wish they would do like they do with the books right now. And, when they usually announce what the schedule is going to be for the next year of Star Trek novels and comics and stuff, I'd love to get here's what 2021 is going to be for next year for CBS All Access or Netflix or whatever. And it's like, you're going to get Picard on this date, Discovery on this date, Lower Decks on this date, and just know it a year in advance.
That would be nice. Well, if we get Lower Decks sooner rather than later, let's talk about something that we are not going to be getting anytime soon. And I know this is a topic that comes up a lot. And Bruce, I know you kind of roll your eyes when it does, because it seems we perpetually talk about this. The Star Trek film franchise, and a recent interview with Noah Hawley with Deadline, talking about how Paramount pulled the plug on his Star Trek film very close to production. So it sounds like they were very close on starting production on his Star Trek film when they pulled the plug, which, is kind of par for the course for the movies at this moment.
I don't really understand this. I mean, we kind of got an indication of this before, but does that mean they already had a cast in place? They already hired the new cast to do this if they were getting ready to go into production? I mean, how far along were they? Or is he just saying the script was approved, they were given the green light, and they hadn't even gone to the point of scouting locations, hiring a cast? I mean, I just wonder how far into the start of production they were at. But, again, until they say action on a set, that's when I believe we're actually going to get something. But in a lot of ways, I'm kind of glad we're not getting a movie right now because of COVID. Now, of course, if they went in production now, we probably would get it after COVID settles down. So maybe that's cool. But I wouldn't want to go see a movie in the theaters right now with COVID anyway.
Yeah, it's really this article and this interview are kind of light on the details of where they were coming into production. But I can't imagine they were like ready to roll cameras anytime soon. That seems odd, but it's really too bad that this has kind of been something that's been faltering and sputtering. But like you say, maybe it's a blessing in disguise with COVID going on maybe that would have tanked the Star Trek film franchise for a long time if they'd have sunk a lot of money into something and then had all of this hit. So, maybe I'm not a subscriber to the things happen for a reason belief, but in this case, maybe it was a good thing that this was delayed when it was.
Well, and you have to consider what Emma Watts is going through right now, who has to make these decisions. She comes in and she sees these shows being developed and succeeding and doing well, and then the movie franchise is sitting there, and it's been 5 years since the last movie. There was supposed to be a movie before that, in the more recent years, but Chris Pine wasn't on board, and they've gone through a different array of different directors, and she's probably coming in going, you guys have no idea what you're doing. Like, it doesn't sound like we really have a plan. And even though we have Hawley on board, it doesn't, we're still figuring things. We need to just really plan out the next 5-10 years. Like, what are we doing with this franchise? Are we going to be able to bring the former cast back? That's now going to be, 6, maybe 7 years past their last movie. Do we start this over again with a different cast playing Kirk, or do we start with a whole new crew of characters that we don't like? What are you going to do? Are you going to reboot TNG? Like, there's so many things. Or do we tie it into the shows? Do we bring some elements of the shows into the theater and have it all as one universe? There's a lot of things to plan there. And I really do hope that they're spending this year really scoping out what they're going to do for at least the next 5 years, if not 10.
Absolutely. Well, I don't want to devote too much time to talking about this because it's, as you've kind of pointed out there, it's all speculation at this point. We really don't know anything. So I'm going to say, let's move on to an idea that I have for post-COVID times when we can all get together again and celebrate and party and all that kind of stuff. And if you get together and you have a party, you're going to need some dinnerware. You're going to need some plates and cups and that kind of thing. And Uconic has you covered because they're releasing an LCARS themed Star Trek The Next Generation dinnerware and whiskey set, which is really, really cool. So I don't know if you've seen these plates and mugs, but they've got these gorgeous big square black plates with LCARS themed computer graphics on them, along with bowls and mugs. And I really want to have a Star Trek dinner party now.
Things happen for a reason. And I think this is telling me there's a reason for these plates and this dinnerware to come out, because just yesterday, my wife said to me, I want to get new dinnerware. Our regular everyday dinnerware. We have our china, nice china stuff for, special occasions, but just everyday dinnerware, because we've had the same for 21 years. And over time, we've replaced certain plates that have broken or whatever with that same pattern, but she wants to try something new. I'm going to show her this. I'm going to show her that this is a direction we can go in, either this one or the one that previously came out from the Enterprise E, which is a little more formal, which I actually really like. Of course, she's going to shoot it down, but I'm going to at least show it to her. At least, like, maybe we have it off to the side to use just for fun occasionally.
That would be pretty cool. These look really neat because, unlike a lot of other novelty dishes, you can use these in the dishwasher and the microwave. So they're a little bit more durable, they could be used for everyday regular dishes. So, maybe. Yeah. Make your case. I think you got a shot.
I mean, who doesn't want a mug that says beverage on it so that it lets you know you are drinking a beverage, or the purpose of this cup is for a beverage. These LCARS are just very useful. They give us the information we need.
Definitely. Well, if you want something to drink besides the beverage that you have in your LCARS mug, they also have a whiskey decanter set that has recently come out. And this is really gorgeous. It comes with a decanter and 4 whiskey glasses, about $100 on their web store. And this is beautiful. It says NCC 1701D U.S.S. Enterprise on the side of the decanter, and each of the glasses have the registry number for the Enterprise D as well. as well as the logo for the United Federation of Planets on the bottle. So, man, I don't know. I don't drink a lot of whiskey, but if I did, I would love it to be out of this.
I totally agree. I don't drink a lot of whiskey. Occasionally I do. I just love the look of this. I seriously am considering buying this. It's $100. And I mean, to me, well, I was going to say to me it's worth it, but it's only worth it because I have a bunch of gift cards that I still haven't used and I have enough to cover this. And the only problem is I just don't know where to display. I mean, here's the problem, people. Just listen to me for a moment. I don't live in my wife is very supportive about my fandom and doing the podcast, and she likes Star Trek. She watches it with me. You know, she watches every new episode, but she's not one to allow me to decorate the house necessarily in my fandom. I have my room. I mean, she'll let me put little things out, but I don't even know where, like, I want to display this. I just don't know. And I think she'd be okay with it. I just don't know where I would display it. You know, I don't want to put it away in a cabinet that you can't see. And, you know, it's like, I want it out.
Yeah.
I know no one can help
Absolutely.
me with that, but I think my wife would go for it because it looks pretty, but I just don't know if she'd let me really prominently display it somewhere.
You need a shelf behind you like I have for my YouTube setup, and just start a YouTube channel and get an IKEA shelf and you can put all your stuff back there.
I guess, but I really want it in like the more formal dining room or formal living room area. You know, it's just not on the shelf with action figures. I want it in a nice presentation. I want it on, you know, some felt something or table. I don't know, you know. But anyway, I do want to drink what's in it. The whiskey does not come with it. You have to provide your own whiskey.
This is true. Yeah. It's bring your own whiskey, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I would love this set.
But, you know, to go to like STLV with it and get together with friends, like in your room or something and get some whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is to take to conventions too.
Oh, I never thought of that. That's terrific. I love that. Well, for the moments when your guests have left, your dinner party is over, you've put away the whiskey. You know, maybe you have just one glass left for yourself to kind of cap off the evening. You want to get comfy. You want to relax. So another product that appears to be on the way, these aren't released yet, but it's kind of from the same company, Euconic. It looks like they have these really nice, comfy slippers that you can slip on and lounge around in. And these look like 5 parts ridiculous, 5 parts awesome. These, Star Trek shuttlecraft slippers. So it looks like there's a pair from the original series. You've got the shuttlecraft Galileo and then the Type 6 shuttle from Star Trek The Next Generation. And these aren't like officially announced. We don't know when they'll be available, but they're on the kind of upcoming products part of the website. So these look ridiculous and adorable, and I kind of love them.
I don't even know what to make of them. You know, when I first saw the picture of them, before I knew they were slippers, I thought, oh, they're squishy little, you know, plush toys of the shuttlecraft. But what's with the big black hole on the top? Oh, they're slippers. I'm like, how do you walk around in them? You know, they're kind of bulky, but at the same time, they keep your feet warm, you know?
Oh, they look like they'd be comfy.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe don't run a marathon in them. I can't imagine they're very safe.
I really wish these were out now. My youngest daughter has been asking me, Dad, is there any ideas for Christmas that you want? I would give her this if I knew they were out now. Just because, like you said, they're fun. They look fun to have.
Absolutely. And yeah, this is all of these products are summarized on this TrekCore page here. I'll share the link in the description where you can kind of see a summary of all these products and links, of course, to the store where you can check these items out as well. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for a dinner party now. I really, I don't know if I'll have these, but it got me thinking about having all my friends over to watch Star Trek and stuff. And I really miss that. So,
Dan, one day I want to come visit you at your home and I want to see you with this whiskey set, leaning back in your shuttlecraft slippers after we've had dinner on our LCARS plates.
Oh, yeah. That's the dream, right? I love it. Oh, that would be amazing. Well, moving on to hobbies that you can do yourself, because again, we're still kind of in this weird COVID-19 thing where we can't really see our friends and stuff, unfortunately. One such hobby that you can do is model building. And that's something that I've done for a while. I haven't done a lot lately, which is strange because I feel like I should have the time to do it. And, you know, there's nowhere I really need to be. But there's a new model kit that's been announced. And Round 2, who currently hold the license for making Star Trek model kits, did a live stream last week and announced a few new products, one new Star Trek product, and then some other Space 1999 products. But they are doing a 1/1000 scale U.S.S. Voyager from Star Trek Voyager. And this looks absolutely gorgeous. It's about 12 to 13 inches long in that scale. So, you know, not a huge model kit, but, you know, a pretty good size as well. And, yeah, this looks absolutely beautiful, and it's definitely one I'm going to be adding to my wish list coming in around mid-2021, around June or July, they're saying. So really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I watched this YouTube video, at least the first 10 minutes of it. And to your point, Dan, it is beautiful because the guys kept saying how beautiful it is. They're like, oh, look at it. It's beautiful. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it's just incredible. Oh, look at the detail. Oh, they love it. So we should too. So yeah. And it does. It looks great. I haven't put models together for years. It's like I almost want to try to do one soon, and maybe it will be this one.
Well, yeah, it's really cool because it's in 1/1000 scale, and they've put out a bunch of ships over the last, I'd say, probably 20 years now in 1/1000 scale, 15 years or so since I think the 1/1000 scale USS Enterprise, the original series version, came out, and since then they've been putting out a lot of ships in that scale. So it'll match. You know, you have a few Enterprises, you have the Defiant, Voyager. They haven't put out an Enterprise D in that scale yet. It would be pretty darn big, but it's one that I really, really want them to do someday. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know how big that box would be. That saucer section would be massive at that scale, but yeah. You know, it'd be fun to get these all in that scale. The amount of detail they have for this ship at that scale as well is incredible. If you watch that video, and it's pretty dry, I mean, but if you're into this sort of stuff, they have a lot of close-ups and looks at various parts of the model. They have a mock-up there. The amount of detail they've managed to get in there is pretty incredible. So this is one that will definitely be on my workbench at some point.
Yeah, so now it's all gray, but then would you then paint it?
Well, yeah, you would have to paint it. There will also be clear parts. What they have in this video is basically like a test mock-up from the factory. So the final parts won't look like that. Like if you see like the warp engine bits and the deflector dish, those would probably be all molded in clear plastic as well. So you'd be able to light it and stuff. So basically when they do a mock-up like this, it's just all kind of one plastic, one type of plastic that they just do for the parts and the fit and that kind of thing. So right. the finished one will look very different, but you would have to paint it and add decals and all of those details as well.
Sweet. So when you do that, Dan, you will have to do it on your YouTube channel.
That would be cool. I've never done like a build video, but I've shown off some of my finished models. But yeah, that would be a lot of fun. So I'll show you, our podcast listeners can't see this, but I'm showing Bruce my U.S.S. Shenzhou that I built last year. So that's beautiful. When it's finished, might look something kind of like that.
Oh, it looks great. It looks perfect. I love it.
That was a really good model. I really like that one because there's a lot of details on it that I would never be able to paint. So it came with decals that kind of did the whole striping and hull texture and stuff. So I love building models. It's a lot of fun. I don't seem to find time for it lately, which is unfortunate.
Now, how long average does it take you to put a model together?
Oh, it really depends on the model. This one was fairly simple, so probably about a week just off and on of working on it. Other models can take a really long time depending on, how complicated you want to get with it, if you want to put lighting in it and all that kind of stuff. So it can take quite a while sometimes.
I've always been a fan of models, both those sets and people who display clothes.
Saw that coming.
I hear a lot about different types of models all the time because my youngest daughter is studying or wanting to study to be in fashion design. So she's always talking about models. So Dan, when I talk to you, it's a different type of model than when I talk to my daughter.
Yeah. I'll tell you sometime about the time that I mentioned to one of my relatives that I was into modeling. And I used the wrong term there because they had the very wrong impression for a few moments as to what it was I was doing. So
Wait, were they just like, oh, great? Like, or they like really bought into it that you would be a model?
That first reaction was pretty much exactly how it went.
I love it. So Dan, what have you been up to? I've been modeling recently.
It was pretty quick that I went, no, wait, that's not how you say that.
I've been modeling shuttlecraft slippers, don't we all?
Oh man, I would rock at modeling shuttlecraft slippers, I think. Well, with all of that said, I guess that's pretty much all of the news we had from the Star Trek universe this week. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. Do you have plans to pick up any kind of whiskey decanter sets or LCARS plates or Voyager models? Are you looking forward to Lower Decks Season 2? And are you as sick as we are of hearing nothing about Star Trek films, basically? Send us an email, positivelytrek@gmail.com. Tweet to us, positivelytrek on Twitter, and at positivelytrek on Instagram, and find our discussion group on Facebook. Search for Positively Trek Discussion Group on Facebook, and we'd love to hear from you there as well.
And then I just want to give out my email of admiral_rex@yahoo.com. If anybody listening, including you, Viacom CBS, want to email me to discuss maybe what you should do with the franchise when it comes to movies, I'd be willing to discuss that with you. We will enter into a contract, and yes, there will be a small fee. But regardless, you can also find me on Twitter at Admiral_Rex or on Instagram at Admiral Rex. And lately I've been on the Star Wars Report podcast fairly often. So you never know when I make a surprise visit on that show.
Very cool. And you can find me on Twitter at Kertrats. That's KERTRATS. YouTube.com/Kertrats Productions. And pretty much anywhere on the internet trying to stay positive.